If you want to become a millionaire, you must first understand a truth that very few people ever grasp. Wealth begins in the mind long before it appears in your bank account. Money is a byproduct, not the source. It is the harvest, not the seed. And yet, most people spend their lives chasing the harvest without ever tending to the soil. They focus on earning more before they focus on thinking better. They run after opportunity without developing the mind capable of recognizing it, creating it, and multiplying it. This is why so many who suddenly come into money lose it just as quickly. They did not rewire their mind to hold it, to grow it, to command it. If you are serious about building wealth, you must first become the kind of person for whom wealth is the natural outcome of who you are and how you think. The first step in rewiring your mind for wealth is to decide with absolute conviction that it is possible for you. This may sound simple, but it is where most fail. They never truly believe it is within their reach, so they sabotage themselves at every turn. They dismiss opportunities. They ignore ideas. They hesitate when action is required. You cannot build $1 million life with a $10 mindset. And so you must confront every belief you've inherited or absorbed that whispers, "Not for you." Who told you that? Where did you get that idea? You must reject it entirely and replace it with a new internal truth. Wealth is not for the chosen few. It is for those who choose it, prepare for it, and act on it. This shift is not about wishful thinking. It is about installing a new identity in your mind. From this moment forward, you are no longer someone who wishes for wealth. You are someone who builds it. Once the decision is made, you must learn to think in terms of value instead of cost. The average person sees only the price of something. The wealthy person sees the return it can generate. This mental shift changes everything, from how you spend your time to how you invest your money. The individual on the path to wealth asks, "What will this produce for me? How will this grow? What will this teach me?" They see a book not as an expense, but as a piece of intellectual property that can pay dividends for a lifetime. They see training not as a bill, but as the sharpening of a tool they will use again and again. And most importantly, they see their own mind as their greatest asset, one worthy of continuous investment. If you want to become a millionaire, you must stop looking at everything through the lens of immediate cost and start looking at it through the lens of long-term value. Rewiring your mind for wealth also means removing the scarcity program that most people run on without realizing it. Scarcity thinking convinces you that there is only so much to go around, that every gain for someone else is a loss for you, that opportunity is rare and fragile. This belief system breeds fear, jealousy, and hesitation. It causes you to hold back when you should invest, to protect when you should expand, to cling when you should create. The wealthy mind operates on a different frequency. It understands that wealth is not taken, it is created. Opportunity is not scarce, it is abundant for those prepared to see it. Money is not a fixed pie to be divided. It is a river that can be tapped, redirected, and multiplied. When you rewire your mind to operate from abundance, you stop playing defense with your life and start playing offense. Another vital piece of the millionaire mindset is learning to detach your income from your hours. The average mind thinks in terms of trade. I give my time, I receive my pay. This is the slowest and most limited way to build wealth because your time is finite. The wealthy mind asks, how can I create systems, assets, and value that generate income whether I am working or not? This is the essence of leverage, using resources, tools, networks, and processes to multiply your effort far beyond what you can do alone. To rewire your mind in this way, you must constantly look for ways to make your work scalable, your ideas repeatable, and your results independent of your direct presence. This is the difference between earning a living and building wealth. Discipline is the circuitry that allows a rewired mind to run without burnout. You can have a powerful vision, but if you are undisciplined in execution, you will constantly short-circuit your own progress. Wealth rewards consistency over intensity. The person who quietly invests every month will outpace the one who makes a big move once and stops. The person who builds relationships steadily will surpass the one who networks only when they need something. Discipline means setting a standard for yourself and keeping it without exception. It means managing your energy, not just your time. It means building habits that make wealth inevitable because they align your daily actions with your ultimate goal. You must also rewire your relationship with failure. The average mind fears it. The wealthy mind studies it. Every failure is a data point, a lesson in disguise, a correction to your path. The wealthy do not take failure personally. They take it seriously. They understand that each setback contains the seeds of improvement, and they are relentless in extracting those seeds and planting them again. If you want to think like a millionaire, you must stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What will I learn?" This reframing removes the emotional weight that keeps most people from taking the risks necessary for significant growth. Lastly, rewiring your mind for wealth requires an unshakable sense of personal responsibility. You must own your results, every one of them. Not the economy, not your upbringing, not the market. You. This is not about blame, it is about power. The moment you accept full responsibility for where you are is the moment you gain full control over where you go next. Millionaires are not waiting for permission to act. They are not waiting for someone else to create their opportunities. They are proactive in creating, shaping, and seizing them, and they understand that the most important real estate they will ever own is the space between their ears. Guard it, shape it, program it for the life you want. Because the truth is, once your mind is rewired for wealth, the money has no choice but to follow. Rewiring your mind to become a millionaire begins with the decision to no longer think like the majority, because the majority are not wealthy. If you continue to think like the crowd, you will continue to live like the crowd. This is not arrogance, it's mathematics. If the average mindset produced extraordinary wealth, everyone would have it. But they don't. That means you must separate yourself mentally long before you separate yourself financially. You must be willing to think thoughts others call unrealistic, to take actions others see as risky, and to believe in outcomes others dismiss as impossible. This separation is the mental foundation on which wealth is built. Without it, every strategy, every investment, every opportunity you touch will be pulled back down by the gravity of old thinking. To build something different, you must first think something different. The wealthy mind lives in a constant state of clarity. It knows exactly what it is aiming for and why. The average mind drifts from goal to goal, chasing whatever seems urgent in the moment. A millionaire's mind is anchored to a specific target, and everything else is measured against it. Does this move me closer to my goal or further away? Becomes the question that filters every decision. This clarity is not a nice to have, it is the control system for your entire life. Without it, distractions multiply, opportunities go unnoticed, and energy is wasted. With it, focus becomes effortless. You stop chasing every possibility and start building one reality. That single shift alone can accelerate your path to wealth faster than any external factor. One of the greatest mental rewiring tools you can use is association. The people you spend time with either reinforce your current thinking or pull you toward new ways of seeing the world. If you are surrounded by those who fear risk, who believe money is scarce, who complain about opportunity rather than creating it, your mind will unconsciously absorb their limits. If you want to think like a millionaire, you must put yourself in rooms physically or virtually where wealth-building conversations are normal, where ambition is respected, and where big ideas are not dismissed but refined. This is not about using people, it's about placing yourself in an environment where the energy of growth is the default, not the exception. A rewired mind also knows how to focus on creation rather than consumption. The majority of people spend most of their mental energy consuming, scrolling, watching, reacting, analyzing without acting. The wealthy use their best mental hours to create products, systems, content, deals, solutions. They understand that wealth flows to those who add value, and value is produced by creation. This means training your mind to default to asking, what can I make from this? Instead of, what can I take from this? It's a shift from being a spectator to being a participant, from being an audience to being a producer. That shift doesn't just change your bank account, it changes your entire relationship with the world. Another mental rewire is moving from linear thinking to exponential thinking. In a linear mindset, you expect results to match the effort you put in directly. 1 hour of work equals 1 hour of pay. In an exponential mindset, you understand that certain actions have multiplying effects over time: investments, scalable systems, intellectual property, brand equity. Millionaires spend their energy building assets that continue to produce value long after the initial work is done. They look for leverage points, places where one action can produce 10 times the result. This requires patience, because exponential growth often appears slow at first, but once the curve begins to rise, it rises sharply. If you can train your mind to look for compounding opportunities instead of immediate returns, you are already thinking in millionaire terms. A critical piece of rewiring is changing your emotional relationship with money itself. Many people carry guilt, fear, or shame around wealth. They've been taught that wanting more is greedy, that money is corrupting, or that wealth will make them a target. These beliefs create subconscious resistance. You cannot attract and hold what you secretly resent or fear. The wealthy see money for what it is, a neutral tool, a form of stored energy that amplifies whoever holds it. In the hands of someone with vision and integrity, money is a force for creation, opportunity, and impact. If you want to become a millionaire, you must rewrite every negative script you've inherited about wealth and replace it with one that empowers you to pursue it unapologetically. The rewired mind also sees problems differently. The average person sees a problem as an obstacle. The wealthy see it as a doorway. Every fortune ever made was built on solving a problem for someone, often for many people at once. The millionaire mind trains itself to look for inefficiencies, frustrations, and unmet needs, then asks, how can I solve this at scale? This approach flips the emotional response to problems. Instead of feeling burdened by them, you feel energized by the possibility they represent. The bigger the problem, the greater the potential reward for solving it. That is why the wealthy often run toward the challenges others avoid. Finally, rewiring your mind to become a millionaire requires that you adopt a long-term horizon. The average mind trades the future for the present at every turn, spending rather than investing, relaxing rather than building, avoiding discomfort rather than using it. The wealthy are willing to delay gratification, to plant seeds today knowing they may not see the full harvest for years. This patience is not passive, it is disciplined action aligned with a vision too big to be satisfied quickly. When you begin to think in terms of years and decades instead of days and weeks, you make different choices. You stop asking what will make me comfortable now and start asking what will make me unstoppable later. That is how you not only become a millionaire but stay one. If you truly want to rewire your mind to become a millionaire, you must learn to see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. Most people operate from assumptions, habits, and second-hand beliefs rather than from clear-eyed observation. They form opinions before they have all the facts, and they act on emotions instead of evidence. The millionaire mind develops the discipline of reality-based thinking. It studies the truth of a situation before making a decision, even when that truth is uncomfortable. This habit protects wealth because it prevents self-deception. It forces you to confront what's working and what isn't. When you deal in reality instead of fantasy, your plans become grounded, your risks become calculated, and your results become repeatable. And that repeatability is what separates those who strike gold once from those who keep the mind producing year after year. Another essential rewire is learning to think in terms of assets instead of income alone. The average person thinks only about how much they can earn each month and how to spend it. The wealthy think about what they can own that will keep earning for them long after the initial work is done. They think in terms of businesses, properties, intellectual property, stocks, patents, things that once acquired or created continue to produce value over time. This shift forces you to think about the long game. It changes the question from how much can I make to what can I own that will keep making money whether I am working or not. This is not about abandoning active income. It's about using active income to acquire and build lasting assets that become your true financial engine. The millionaire mind also understands the principle of asymmetric bets. These are opportunities where the potential upside far outweighs the potential downside. Most people are afraid to take them because they focus too much on what they might lose. But the wealthy are trained to see that when the downside is small and the upside is large, the risk is actually low in a practical sense. They seek out situations where one smart move, one well-timed decision, one strategic investment can multiply their position many times over. This thinking is not about recklessness, it's about discipline in choosing where to place your time, energy, and capital so that the returns can be exponential rather than incremental. You must also rewire your mind to see learning as a profit center, not a chore. The average person stops their real education when they leave school, but the wealthy remain students for life. They read voraciously, they ask questions, they seek mentors, they study trends. They are willing to pay for information because they understand that the right insight at the right time can be worth millions. This is not passive learning, it is targeted, intentional, and tied directly to their goals. When you treat learning as an investment with measurable returns, you approach it with urgency, and as your knowledge compounds, so does your ability to make better decisions, see opportunities others miss, and act with confidence. One of the most profound rewires is replacing the habit of emotional spending with intentional investing. Many people use money as a form of comfort, buying things to feel better in the moment rather than to build for the future. The wealthy reverse this. They deploy money like a soldier on a mission, each dollar given a purpose to grow, to protect, to expand. This does not mean they live joyless lives, it means they understand sequence. Build the engine first, then let the engine fund your pleasures. When you learn to separate the emotion of wanting something from the discipline of deciding if it fits your wealth strategy, you stop sabotaging your future for the sake of the present. The millionaire mind also treats time as its most valuable asset. Money lost can be earned again. Time spent is gone forever. The wealthy are ruthless in how they allocate their hours. They focus on high-leverage activities, actions that produce the most significant results for the time invested. They delegate or eliminate tasks that do not move the needle. They say no more often than they say yes, not out of arrogance, but out of precision. When you start thinking this way, you realize that many of the activities you once considered productive are simply mental clutter disguised as busyness. Freeing your time for what truly matters is one of the fastest ways to accelerate your path to wealth. Another critical rewire is shifting from a consumer mentality to an owner mentality in every area of life. The consumer asks, "What can I get?" The owner asks, "What can I build?" The consumer looks for the lowest price. The owner looks for the highest value. The consumer reacts to trends. The owner sets them. This doesn't just apply to business. It applies to how you think about your skills, your relationships, your reputation. Ownership is about responsibility, and responsibility breeds control. The more you take ownership of the outcomes in your life, the more you will find yourself in positions to create and sustain wealth. Finally, you must rewire your relationship with discomfort. Comfort feels good in the short term, but it is expensive in the long term. Every meaningful increase in income, every expansion of your network, every significant asset you acquire will demand that you face uncertainty, take calculated risks, and grow into someone capable of handling more. The average person retreats when they feel discomfort. The wealthy lean into it, knowing it is the signal that they are operating at the edge of their current capacity, and that is where growth happens. If you can train yourself to see discomfort as an indicator of progress rather than as a warning to stop, you will not only move faster toward wealth, you will develop the resilience to keep it once you have it. One of the most important mental rewires you will ever make on your journey to becoming a millionaire is learning to operate from a place of vision instead of circumstance. Most people let their present situation dictate the limits of their thinking. If their bank account is low, their ideas shrink to match it. If their environment is unstable, their goals become cautious and modest. The wealthy reverse this completely. They set their vision first. Clear, specific, unapologetically ambitious, and then they work backward to build the reality that supports it. They do not wait for their circumstances to give them permission to think bigger. They understand that vision is the blueprint, and circumstances are simply the raw materials to be shaped. Once you grasp this, you stop making plans according to what you have and start making them according to what you want. Another mental upgrade essential to wealth is developing a builder's mindset toward opportunity. Many people only recognize opportunity when it arrives fully formed and polished. They want the deal, the business, the investment to be obvious and risk-free. But by the time it looks that way, the wealth-building potential has often passed to someone else. The millionaire mind knows that most opportunities come disguised as problems, incomplete ideas, or undeveloped markets. They train themselves to spot potential where others see inconvenience. They are willing to take something in raw form and shape it into value. This is why they seem to find wealth where others don't. It's not that opportunity doesn't exist for everyone, it's that most people are not tuned to see it early enough to benefit. A rewired mind also treats money as a tool for leverage, not just as a reward. The average person sees money as something to spend or save. The wealthy see it as something to deploy strategically to increase their capacity, their reach, and their influence. They use money to buy time by hiring others, to buy speed by acquiring resources, to buy access by entering the right circles. They understand that a dollar sitting idle is a soldier off the battlefield. This is not about reckless spending. It's about intentional allocation of resources to accelerate progress. When you begin to see each dollar as an asset that can work for you, rather than something that must be hoarded until it is spent, your relationship with money changes entirely. Discipline and execution is another non-negotiable trait of the millionaire mind. Ideas are everywhere, but without consistent action, they are worthless. The wealthy build systems around their goals so that progress becomes inevitable. They do not rely on bursts of inspiration. They rely on processes that function whether they feel motivated or not. They set metrics, track progress, and hold themselves accountable to timelines. They treat their personal goals with the same seriousness that a high-performing company treats its quarterly objectives. This level of discipline may seem rigid, but it is the very structure that creates freedom. Without it, intentions drift and results remain unpredictable. A vital mental rewire is learning to manage risk with precision instead of fear. The average person treats all risk as dangerous, avoiding it whenever possible. This keeps them safe, but it also keeps them small. The wealthy break risk down into its components, study it, and take only the kinds of risks that are survivable if they fail and transformative if they succeed. They are not reckless gamblers, they are calculated players. They understand that every meaningful return is paired with some level of uncertainty, and they have the mental resilience to operate inside that uncertainty without freezing. When you begin to see risk as a tool to be managed rather than a threat to be avoided, you open yourself to opportunities that most people will never touch. Another shift you must make is in how you view time horizons. Many people plan for the next month or the next year. The wealthy plan for decades. This long-term perspective changes the quality of every decision. It forces patience in growth, discipline in spending, and strategy in expansion. It means you are less likely to burn out chasing quick wins, and more likely to build assets and systems that stand the test of time. Thinking in decades allows you to weather short-term setbacks without losing sight of your ultimate destination. It also gives you the advantage of compounding, whether in investments, relationships, skills, or brand equity, that the short-term thinker will never experience. The millionaire mind also cultivates the ability to operate in silence. While others announce every goal and broadcast every move, the wealthy understand the value of discretion. They know that speaking too soon invites opinions, resistance, and even competition before their plans are ready. By keeping certain strategies and developments private until they are solid, they protect their momentum. This doesn't mean working in isolation, it means controlling the flow of information so that your energy is spent building instead of defending. Silence, used strategically, is a form of leverage in itself. Finally, rewiring your mind for wealth means refusing to separate financial success from personal growth. The two are inseparable. You cannot sustainably expand your income without expanding your skills, your emotional control, and your capacity for responsibility. The wealthy treat personal development as an ongoing investment, not as something to pursue only when convenient. They understand that money will only magnify who you already are. If you are disciplined, it will magnify your discipline. If you are careless, it will magnify your carelessness. By working on themselves with the same intensity they work on their ventures, they ensure that they are not only capable of reaching $1 million, but of keeping it, growing it, and using it in ways that continue to multiply their impact. One of the most powerful rewires you can make on the path to becoming a millionaire is to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an owner. The employee mindset is built around trading time for money, following orders, and staying within the scope of someone else's vision. There's nothing wrong with honest work, but if your goal is to build lasting wealth, you must expand beyond that framework. The owner mindset asks different questions. It looks for ways to create systems instead of filling roles, to control the source of income instead of depending on it, to build something that produces value without constant supervision. This shift forces you to think about leverage, how to multiply the effect of your time, resources, and ideas so they produce far beyond what you could generate with effort alone. Once you think like an owner, you begin to structure your decisions not around security in the moment, but around independence for the long term. Another mental upgrade required for wealth is learning to master emotional regulation in financial matters. The average person makes money decisions under the influence of fear, greed, or impatience. They chase investments because others are doing it. They sell in panic when the market shifts. They overspend in moments of excitement. The millionaire mind is calm under pressure. It understands that markets move in cycles, opportunities require patience, and discipline is more valuable than adrenaline. This stability is what allows wealth to compound instead of evaporate. If you want to rewire your mind for millionaire status, you must train yourself to pause before reacting, to gather facts before moving, and to stay consistent even when emotions run high. A rewired mind also learns to monetize skills and knowledge in multiple ways. Most people use a skill for one source of income. The wealthy ask, how many different streams can this skill create? A single area of expertise can produce consulting income, digital products, books, courses, licensing deals, or partnerships. This is how you take what you know and scale it far beyond your personal labor. It's also how you insulate yourself from economic swings. When one stream slows, others keep flowing. This requires creativity and a willingness to package and present your value in different forms, but the payoff is exponential. The more ways you can make your skills earn for you, the closer you move toward true financial freedom. Wealth also demands a shift in how you view obstacles. To the average thinker, an obstacle is a signal to slow down or stop. To the wealthy, it is a signal to innovate. Every barrier to progress contains within it an opportunity to create a solution that others will pay for. When you rewire your mind to view challenges as prompts rather than punishments, you begin to think like a problem solver at scale. And problem solvers are the ones who get paid the most because they provide answers where others only see dead ends. The bigger the problem you can solve, the bigger the reward you can earn. Another essential rewire is developing a personal standard for excellence in everything you do. Wealth gravitates toward those who take pride in the quality of their work, their reputation, and their relationships. This is not about perfectionism, it's about reliability and distinction. When people know you as someone who delivers above expectation, you earn trust, and trust opens doors that money alone cannot. High standards also influence your self-image. When you refuse to produce average work, you reinforce the identity of someone who operates at a level worthy of extraordinary results. That identity shapes every decision you make, and over time it shapes the size of the opportunities available to you. The millionaire mind is also relentless about tracking and measuring progress. What gets measured gets improved. While many avoid looking too closely at their finances out of fear or discomfort, the wealthy track every key metric that matters to their growth. They know their numbers, income, expenses, net worth, return on investments, growth rates, because those numbers tell the truth about whether their strategies are working. Tracking is not about obsession, it's about clarity. It removes guesswork and replaces it with direction. Once you see exactly where you stand, you can adjust quickly, double down where you're winning, and fix where you're losing. You must also rewire your thinking about the relationship between speed and accuracy. Many people wait far too long to act because they want to be certain, while others move too quickly without enough preparation. The wealthy find the balance. They move faster than the average person because they understand the cost of hesitation, but they do so with informed precision. They gather the critical information they need, make the decision, and take action, knowing they can adjust along the way. This blend of decisiveness and adaptability allows them to capitalize on opportunities while others are still deliberating. Finally, the millionaire mindset understands that wealth is not an endpoint, it is a foundation. Money itself is not the goal, it is the resource that allows you to build, create, and expand your influence. The rewired mind is not obsessed with the accumulation of money for its own sake, but with the freedom, security, and impact that money makes possible. It sees wealth as a tool for building the life you envision, for funding the causes you believe in, and for creating a legacy that outlasts you. And when you view money this way, your pursuit of it becomes both more focused and more sustainable. You're no longer chasing paper. You're building a life that generates wealth as a natural outcome of your vision, your discipline, and your value to the world. A major mental rewire on the road to becoming a millionaire is learning to think in terms of systems instead of single actions. Most people approach wealth building like a series of unrelated tasks. Make a little money here, save a little there, invest when possible. The millionaire mind sees wealth as the output of interconnected systems that work together, often without constant oversight. These systems may include automated investments, recurring income streams, structured routines for business development, and deliberate relationship-building strategies. Each part feeds the others. This thinking removes the dependency on any one effort, because if one channel slows, others continue producing. When you start designing systems instead of chasing isolated wins, you stop starting over with every new goal and begin building momentum that compounds over time. Another necessary rewire is the ability to view money through the lens of opportunity cost. Every dollar you spend or invest represents a choice, not just in what you gain now, but in what you forfeit later. The average person only considers the immediate benefit of a purchase. The wealthy consider what that same dollar could become if deployed elsewhere. They ask, if I put this into an asset, what will it grow into over the next year, 5 years, or decade? This mindset doesn't make them stingy, it makes them strategic. They understand that wealth grows when money is consistently placed in high-return environments, not when it is scattered without a plan. The more you think in terms of trade-offs and long-term value, the sharper your financial decisions become. The millionaire mind also knows the difference between being busy and being productive. Many people fill their days with tasks, yet make little real progress toward their financial goals. Busyness can be a form of procrastination. It gives you the feeling of work without the results of it. The wealthy measure productivity by outcomes, not activity. They prioritize the handful of actions that directly move them closer to their vision, and either delegate or eliminate the rest. This requires discipline because it means constantly asking yourself, is this moving the needle or is it just keeping me occupied? When you eliminate the noise of unnecessary tasks, you free up time and mental energy for the moves that truly matter. A profound shift happens when you rewire your mind to think in terms of multiplication instead of addition. Addition is earning a little more, saving a little more, moving in small steps. Multiplication is creating opportunities where your income, your reach, or your impact increases exponentially with the same or less effort. This is why the wealthy focus so much on scalable ventures, intellectual property, and strategic partnerships. They look for levers they can pull that will magnify results without multiplying the workload. Once you start thinking in terms of multiplication, you begin to question every action that doesn't have the potential to expand significantly beyond its initial return. Another rewire essential to wealth is the refusal to let short-term setbacks derail long-term vision. Many people treat a single loss, a bad quarter, or a failed project as a verdict on their future. The wealthy treat these events as feedback. They analyze what went wrong, adjust, and continue forward without losing sight of the bigger picture. This mental resilience is critical because wealth building is never a straight line. There will be seasons of rapid growth and seasons of challenge. If you allow the dips to dictate your belief or your effort, you will never see the compounding effect that comes from staying in the game long enough to win. You must also rewire your relationship with negotiation. The average person sees negotiation as uncomfortable or confrontational. The millionaire mind sees it as one of the most valuable skills they can master. Every deal, every contract, every partnership has terms, and those terms can be shaped. Wealthy individuals negotiate not just for money, but for time, equity, flexibility, and long-term positioning. They understand that a well-negotiated agreement can be worth far more than a higher upfront payment. To think like a millionaire, you must become comfortable with advocating for your value and structuring deals that serve both immediate and future objectives. A key mental shift is realizing that brand is an asset. Most people think of brand as something for companies, but in the modern world, individuals carry brands too. Reputations that precede them influence perception and open or close doors. The wealthy cultivate their brand intentionally, ensuring that every interaction, every product, every public presence reinforces the identity they want associated with their name. This brand equity often leads to opportunities, partnerships, and deals that would never be available otherwise. When you treat your name and reputation as one of your most valuable holdings, you guard it and grow it with the same care you give to your investments. Finally, the millionaire mind understands that wealth is built in layers, and each layer must be reinforced before the next can be added. They don't chase advanced strategies before they've mastered the fundamentals of saving, investing, and managing risk. They don't expand into new ventures before ensuring their core income streams are secure. This disciplined sequencing prevents the collapse that comes from building too fast on an unstable foundation. When you think in layers, you give yourself both stability and scalability. You know exactly where you are in your wealth-building journey and what the next logical step is, eliminating the chaos of trying to do everything at once. One of the most important mental rewires you can make in your journey to becoming a millionaire is to fully embrace the fact that no one is coming to save you. This is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to empower you. The moment you stop waiting for a handout, a lucky break, or a perfect set of circumstances is the moment you take complete ownership of your results. The wealthy live by this principle. They understand that their life is shaped not by what they are given, but by what they create. This mindset frees them from dependency on any one employer, client, or market. It keeps them proactive, always building new skills, relationships, and opportunities, so they are never at the mercy of a single point of failure. If you want to think like a millionaire, you must remove every trace of victim mentality from your mind and replace it with absolute responsibility for where you are and where you're going. Another critical rewire is to stop chasing money directly and start chasing the value that creates it. Money is a scorecard for value delivered at scale. The bigger the problem you solve and the more people you solve it for, the higher the potential reward. Millionaires understand this instinctively. They do not wake up asking, how can I make more money today? They ask, how can I create more value today? They understand that when you build something that truly serves others, whether it's a product, a service, or a system, the money follows as a natural byproduct. Shifting your focus from income to impact rewires your mind to think in terms of growth, service, and scalability rather than quick cash grabs that disappear as fast as they arrive. The millionaire mind also develops a deep respect for the power of compounding, not just in money, but in every area of life. They know that every consistent action, no matter how small, grows over time into something far greater than its initial size. They apply this to investments, relationships, knowledge, and reputation. They read daily because the accumulation of insight compounds into better decisions. They nurture relationships because the trust built over years can open doors no single transaction ever could. They protect their reputation because its value multiplies with time. Compounding is the quiet force behind nearly every great fortune, and rewiring your mind to work with it instead of against it will transform how you operate. Another rewire is learning to protect your mental environment with the same vigilance you protect your financial environment. Most people will guard their money from scams and theft, but they let anyone deposit opinions, fears, and limitations into their mind without question. Millionaires know that the wrong influence can cost far more than a bad investment because it can change the way you think, and your thinking determines every financial outcome you will ever have. They are deliberate about who they spend time with, what they consume, and where they focus their attention. They understand that mental clarity is a competitive advantage in a world where most people are distracted and reactive. A wealthy mindset also includes the ability to hold two opposing truths at once: complete confidence in eventual success and complete openness to adjusting the plan. This is how millionaires avoid the twin traps of arrogance and rigidity. They are unshakable in their belief that they will reach their vision, but they are flexible about the route. If a strategy fails, they don't abandon the mission, they pivot. If a market changes, they adapt without losing momentum. This combination of conviction and flexibility is one of the most valuable mental assets you can develop because it keeps you moving forward no matter what the landscape looks like. The rewired mind also refuses to separate wealth from health. Millionaires know that without physical energy and mental sharpness, all the opportunity in the world is meaningless. They view their body as the vehicle through which they produce every result, and they treat it accordingly. They prioritize rest, nutrition, exercise, and stress management, not as luxuries but as necessities for peak performance. They understand that the clarity to spot opportunities, the endurance to pursue them, and the presence of mind to make wise decisions all depend on the state of their health. Neglecting it is like sabotaging the engine of your wealth-building machine. Another mental shift is learning to see every dollar as an employee that works for you. The average person sees money only as something to spend or save. The wealthy see it as something to deploy. They give each dollar a job to earn more dollars. They put their money into assets that generate returns, into ventures that create cash flow, into opportunities that expand capacity. They track their capital as carefully as a leader tracks their team because they understand that idle money is wasted potential. This reframe changes the way you make decisions. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "Will this purchase make my money work harder for me?" Finally, the millionaire mindset understands that wealth is the result of alignment. Alignment between thoughts, actions, and identity. If you think like the wealthy but act like the average, you'll stay where you are. If you act ambitiously but still carry the beliefs of scarcity and limitation, you will sabotage yourself. And if you take the right actions but still see yourself as someone undeserving of wealth, you will find ways to push it away. True rewiring means making your vision, your behavior, and your self-concept all point in the same direction. When those three align, wealth stops feeling like something you chase and starts feeling like something you are inevitably moving toward.